What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday, and welcome to Orlando Real Live, where we talk about real estate, theme parks, and life in Orlando. I'm Ken Pozek. I'm your host today, and I'm living in Orlando. I'm a real estate agent in Orlando, and today's really about you. I do have some stories that I brought. Today, we're going to talk about the rising real estate interest rates and how that's affected our local real estate market, how builders are starting to react. I think that that's a really big piece of a lot of this. And how I see the market headed for buyers and sellers. We're going to talk a little bit about theme park news. We're going to talk about some other development news that I've kind of got into, but mostly it's important to find out where you guys are coming from and answer your questions, because you guys, your questions are how I curate our content moving forward. And so I love to hear what's going on. Gunnar, I'm not late. The intro, I had to let the audience build a little bit, man. Good to see you though. What's going on, Mike? He says, I can't wait. I appreciate you. Well, hello there. Good to see you. Appreciate it. Where's everybody watching from today? I love to find out where our audience, it's interesting because so many people are coming from the UK. Some people are coming from locally here. Some people are coming from Brazil. It's really, really cool. A lot of people moving from California, West Coast, all that kind of stuff. Here we go. Bunch of people checking in now, popping through. Annette from Denmark. Good to see you. Michelle from Massachusetts. How are you? Jan from Germany. What's going on, friend? Jay Johnson from South Lyon, Michigan. Some of my favorite people up in South Lyon. Rainy Seattle. I understand why people are moving from Seattle. Somebody just told me the other day about May gloom, June gloom, May mist, something like that. Basically, we're like May and June, it gets to be like you don't get to see the sun very much. So that sounds like a bummer to me. What's up, Nick from LA? Good to see you. Heather says she just moved from Michigan to Lake Nona. It's a great spot. I'm from Michigan, and I love Lake Nona. Lake Nona in the house. So some local people as well. So good to see you guys. All right. So I think that that's a good amount of check-in. Feel free to keep dropping your comments below, but let's dive in right away to real estate and what that is doing here in Orlando. I usually wait for the end of the show to do this, but I'm gonna actually kick it off first thing because I think this is what a lot of people are looking for. So this is a market watch that I look at every single day. It's a 7-day forecast of kind of what's happened, or a 7-day look back of what's happened. And I'm going to break this down on what all of this means for you. But really, like, we've got new listings that have hit the market. There's been 1,000 in the past week. Now, that number for months and months and months and months, probably 6-7 months, was 600-700. If you go back and watch my old lives, that number pretty much was very consistent. About 1,000 homes is a lot more than we've seen anyways. It's still not enough to keep up with demand, but it's still more than we've seen. Back on market, I thought this was a really big number. 306 of those homes that went under contract came back to market because of a bad mortgage, a bad appraisal, a bad inspection. Something happened. And it had to come back on the market. Here's another really, really big one. Price decreases, 401 price decreases. That number used to be more like 40 or 50, right? So these are people that are put their house on the market. It didn't sell for whatever reason. They had to bring the price down. Pendings, 1,030 pendings. So now we're looking at new listings and pendings, almost the same number. What does that tell us? That basically means that we've hit a balanced market, which is a good thing. What we've been seeing over the past 2 years in our market, both locally and just all over the country, is not healthy. 20% appreciation, not a good thing. I'm much more into the fact of like, hey, statistical 3 to 5% appreciation per year. That's really where we want to be. And so if we're in a balanced market, that's good. Now, if we start seeing all of a sudden new listings are 1,500 and pendings are only 500, we're going to see the market go the other way. So is this the beginning of a recession? Is this a beginning of a pullback in our market to where prices are going to drop? Not yet. Not yet. What we're seeing here is still a very healthy thing. If you have one listing come on and one buyer, or one listing, and what we're still seeing on our listings is that we're getting 2, 3, 4 offers instead of 20 offers. I think that that's a good thing. But here's one thing that I've really found out interestingly this week, over the past 2 weeks or so. Builders are starting to reach out to my team and I. I have a team of remarkable agents here in Orlando. Some of you have worked with them as well. And so they're reaching out to us and saying, hey, we're going to start offering some design incentives. If you want to come back to the design center. We'll give you X amount of dollars to help out your buyer if you bring them on site. Or also some of them are willing to pay for all of your closing costs. So that's when it starts to get a little bit more fun, because then I can come in, I can kind of not beat up the builders, because we don't want to beat them up, but I'm working for you as a buyer. And so my goal is to get you the best deal possible. And the best deal possible up until a month ago was just hoping to get a lot, hoping to be able to walk in and get you something was the win. And then our job is to follow up along the way to make sure that everything that is supposed to happen happens with the builder, right? We're working for you. The on-site rep is working for the builder. But these people reaching out and saying, hey, we're willing to give you $10, $15, $20, $25,000 towards design incentives, plus $10,000 to $15,000 towards closing costs. It's interesting, right? They didn't have to do that a month ago. And so why? Like, why the change, right? Well, interest rates have gone up. Interestingly enough, average interest rates were like ticking up to 5.5, 5.75. This past week, they actually dropped down to just over 5% for a 30-year fixed. And in the 15 range, or if you're going to get like a 10-1 ARM, you can get that low fours again. And so will that kind of spike back up the interest in the market? Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. But you guys have dropped in a ton of questions. Miss Jen Searles, she said, I finally can say I'm not in Orlando and not in Michigan, for sure. Jen is a client of ours and also works on our team, which is fantastic. Horizon West checking in. I appreciate you guys. Let me get some of these questions, though. I saw a bunch of them pop through. Yeah. So Jason says, out in San Francisco, we're seeing the same thing, more price reductions and heading into a balanced market. It's still very competitive as now, but definitely changing. Here's an interesting thing, Jason. I've been in real estate since 2003 in one way or the other. And I remember in like 08, 09, worst part of the recession, right? 2010 even, the well-priced homes that had good upgrades were still selling very quickly, a day or two, with multiple offers, if they were in good condition and well-priced. And so it's always going to be that some homes sell super quick, other ones where the sellers are like, hey, I didn't do anything for the past 20 years to the house. And I know my comparables say my house is worth $600,000, but let's try $650. That's not a healthy thing, right? And that's when we start seeing these price reductions, right? The market always tells the truth, I always say. Heinrich you're an architect from Brazil. What's going on, man? Well, I appreciate you checking in. I'm curious what your interests are in Orlando, for sure. Buck asks, is there a difference between a realtor and a real estate agent? Yeah, so our real estate laws basically say that once you get licensed, you become a real estate agent. Once you join the National Association of Realtors, which is just a trade organization, you become a realtor. So there's extra protections and extra ethics that we're supposed to follow. I always just say I'm a real estate agent because realtor sounds silly to me. I am a realtor. I pay for the license and the trade organization and all that, but I'm just a real estate agent. All right, so let's start going through some of these. The real estate shift has definitely begun in Portland. I actually have friends in Portland and in Seattle, and that whole West Coast area is definitely starting to see a bit of a shift. Michael says, you're under contract with a new build in Mineola. Congratulations. That's amazing. I feel like here's the one thing to think about. Like, if you're a buyer, like now many buyers are like, well, I'm just going to wait and see, when do I catch the bottom? Or sellers are like, many of them, that's why we're seeing more and more listings. They're like, well, I don't want to miss the top, so I'm going to hurry up and get in. My best advice to our clients and people that, if you're watching this, would be, you get in when your motivation's there, because there's no perfect timing, right? So say you overpaid compared to some people, but you got a 2% interest rate or 2.5% interest rate, and you plan on staying in that house for 10 years, you won, right? If you get in now versus renting and the market dips 10%, but then comes back up 15, and your horizon is 5, 10, whatever years, you won, right? You're paying off your house. You're able to write off the interest. There's a lot of other things that come with home ownership. And so you got to go in when you can. And here's a brilliant thing that I'm very excited about. We had many buyers that were just sick of the process. They were sick of the multiple offers and going through the whole process of bidding on lots and going against 50 other buyers. So they decided, forget it. I'm going to wait until at least the craziness dies down. Then I'll get back in the market. And so this week we have had significant amount of people reach out just saying that, like, hey, is now the time to jump in? It's kind of interesting. What's going on, Adam from the UK, Manchester? Good to see you. Jordan, yes. Okay. Hindsight being 2020, right? But if you're looking at today forward, there is no perfect time. I could go back and look at the exact time and the exact area to have the best return. Of course I can, but none of us know until you're looking backwards on when that might be. That's pretty funny though. Buck says, "Thanks for the answer, Ken. I just want to bet." Well, you should cut me in on the bet. All right, let's talk about a few other things that we were finding out here. So, at more than $1 million an acre, a New York investment firm buys property near Universal, and so here's where basically they're putting in their spot. This place they paid over $1 million an acre. And let's talk a little bit about where Epic Universe is. This is, so if you guys aren't familiar, Universal Orlando is coming up with a new park. It's Epic Universe. There's going to be Nintendo Land. There's going to be a new Harry Potter Land. There's like all this really cool stuff. And I wasn't sure how big it was. I knew kind of the general area. But if you live in Orlando, you should drive by it. It's right over here. I'll show you this real quick, this map. It's impressive to me because look how big this property is. So this is Sand Lake Road right here. This is Restaurant Row. This is Sand Lake right up and down here. If you go down Sand Lake right now, there's really nothing over there. You've got Lockheed Martin, their massive headquarters right here for Orlando. And then right past it, this is all Epic Universe. It's huge. And really, if you look up and down this Sand Lake area, it's desolate right now. There's really no restaurants. It's kind of like industrial. It's just kind of a weird spot to put it because if you look, their main campus of Universal is right over here, right up in here. And what's amazing, if you look at this, look at that right there. You got Universal right here. You could fit both Universal Parks plus City Walk inside of Epic Universe. That's how big the property is. It's giant. And so they're moving forward quite quickly on a lot of that. And so this story that I just brought up to you was that these people bought some land. Where's my cursor? Bought some land kind of down here for over $1 million per acre just for raw land because they feel that this whole strip up and down Universal is obviously going to get more and more traffic with the amount of people that are going to come over to Epic Universe when it finally opens in a couple years. And so it's kind of interesting. I think iDrive eventually will have a bit of a come up. If you haven't seen the Disney LED, let's show you this real quick. This is kind of cool. On iDrive. So anyways, if you're in Orlando, if you're in Orlando already or you're visiting, you should like seriously go check out what it looks like now so that you can kind of see what it's going to be like in the future. It's impressive what they're doing. So here's what's going on over on iDrive right now. So Disney to brighten up International Drive with dynamic art display. So this is kind of what it looks like. It kind of goes around. It's all huge. It's like a huge LED screen, very like Vegas-esque. And that's like the entrance as you're going down iDrive. I do believe that iDrive will continue to get better and better and better. And they're going to kind of push out the tchotchke shops probably farther up International Boulevard. And yeah, I mean, we don't hang out on iDrive. There's a couple places we like to eat there. But I think that as Epic Universe comes in and then the land around Universal gets built out and then iDrive kind of continues to mature into something that is something people want to hang out in, it'll be interesting. So if you are an investor or you're thinking about moving to the area, looking in those areas might be kind of a cool thing. Ken Thomas says, from Seattle, looking to move to the Villages later. Congrats, man. We've got Bree on our team, crushes it out in the Villages. Yay, new Harry Potter land. Exactly. I'm so stoked. By the way, if you are watching this, whether it's on replay or you're watching live, make sure you hit the subscribe button and maybe give me the thumbs up. It pushes it out to more people so we can get more people watching, questions asked. And the more questions that get asked, obviously, the better the content for everybody. Wiggy says, I'm a retired teacher in Kentucky on her first day of summer break. You guys are, you're the real MVPs. These teachers, crazy. And if you're a teacher somewhere else in the country, Wiggy or whomever, Orlando, especially Orange County, is expanding at such a rate. I think they have 4 new schools opening up this fall, but they need new teachers. And I do believe they're starting to get some pressure to start some upward pressure on raising teacher benefits, which I think is much needed. But yeah, we've got all of these new schools opening up. We need like bus drivers. I've got a video coming out on Tuesday where we talk about the very last thing about it is kind of like the jobs needed in the area. Where I see is like the trades, like if you're an electrician, plumber, roofer, framer, and you're a small business owner and you want to move to Orlando, you will crush right now. It is so hard to find great trades that are consistent and show up and actually do good work, that if you show up with a little bit of work ethic and you're good at what you do, you will like just dominate and flourish. So interesting. Let's gonna go back here. Do I see the same balance in Lakeland and Winter Haven as well? Yeah, we definitely see. So the balance in Orlando right now is all that's what I showed you earlier. The balance of the market. That's kind of like the 5-county area, which includes Polk County. We are seeing some builders in the Polk County area already starting to offer more and more incentives, because you got to remember, like, as affordability happens and people move farther out, the first places to contract are usually the farther out places, because they don't have as much draw as where like the epicenter of everything's happening, jobs, theme parks, on and on. And so like a Winter Haven is really affordable, but one of the first places where demand is going to drop, because all of a sudden, if people can move 20 minutes closer to work, those are the places that are going to get more love. And so anyways, I'm feeling good today. I was off for like 3 weeks on lives. I had a little, just like a little muscle surgery, and had to pre-plan all my content. And I missed you guys so very much. One thing I got to do before we jumped on, took a little bit of time off, was this Guardians of the Galaxy ride. Have you guys ridden this yet? Anybody down in the comments, if you live here, have you ridden it? It's the best ride at Disney, bar none. But it's giving people some, like, I guess some people, riders offered vomit bags at exit. Funny enough, my wife cannot do roller coasters at all, but she did not get sick on this one at all, which I thought was great. But it's the best, I think. Theming is on par with really anything over in like Galaxy's Edge. It's this roller coaster that spins as you're kind of going down the track, and it's this crazy screens and noise coming at you. It's a really cool ride. I think that there's a lot of people getting sick on it though. And the whole virtual queue thing, I thought was going to be a nightmare, because at Rise of the Resistance, it was a nightmare. But a lot of my friends are able to get their virtual pass right at 7 a.m., which I think is cool. So what they're doing is there's no actual like queue on property right in front of the place. It's you go online on the app, and at 7 a.m. you can log in, get your ticket, right, and it's free. Then they do it again at 1 o'clock, or you can buy a lightning pass, which is $17. And the whole $17 thing seems excessive, especially for a family of 5 like ours. But if you're a single rider and you want to just jump on, I think it's cool. Best ride at Disney for sure. Epcot becomes more and more my favorite place to be. All right. Brianopolis asks, how is the rental market or affordable smaller homes? So the rental market has actually outpaced the real estate market here in Orlando. So new apartments are popping up left and right, and they're renting out within a couple weeks. I mean, you're talking hundreds of units rented out within a month. It's kind of amazing to see. That's just because so many people have gotten priced out of our area. And so as the market maybe shifts, hopefully you have more options to rent at more of an affordable range. But hopefully real estate prices kind of level off, and interest rates don't get too crazy to where you could purchase something. Here's something that's really like crappy. So the more I dive into like OfferPad and Open Door and what Zillow used to do, which is buy houses, a lot of these people they're not just buying a house and then flipping it, right? If you guys aren't familiar, like OfferPad, Open Door, they are buying houses and then just keeping them as rentals. So these companies they used to buy them, flip them, make them a little bit of a profit, and that was their business model. Now they're buying them off market, selling them to Wall Street, turning them into a rental, and then unfortunately that's taking that house off the market forever, right? And there's only so many houses out there, and we're already behind on how many homes we actually need. And so it's interesting to see kind of like the shift in the entire country, but especially in Orlando, because there's a lot of these hedge funds buying up these houses. to where the houses that do hit the market have more demand because there's just naturally less houses out there, if that makes sense. So, not a fan personally um, of the model, but it's making rentals and your question about affordable rentals. There's going to be hopefully more and more options for you, but as of right now, it's still probably the harder place to get is getting a rental over purchasing something. Angela says, we have rode Guardians of the Galaxy, loved it. Did you get sick? I'm curious. Charlie says, yes, wrote it last week during annual pass previews. How cool is that? That's one of the things I know people always talk about, Disney's pulling back on annual pass previews or annual passes and the benefits that you get. But that one's fantastic. I know DVC also gets the same thing. And some other one, I think Club 33 and Golden Oak people get other stuff as well. But that's probably my favorite feature to the annual pass is the preview. I think I rode Ratatouille at the preview and then haven't since because the line's always so crazy long. Vincent's asked, how do I feel about the quality of Landsea Homes, Hanover builders? Can you do a segment on growth in Mount Dora? We're building with Barcrove Estates and Landsea and Mount Dora. So Mount Dora, I think, is going to be like an it town here very shortly because the amount of investment that's going into the area. Let me hold on a second real quick. I'll show you. So Hanover Builders they were a good builder. They sold to Landsea, and it's been not as exciting, unfortunately. I think they're just trying to get through I think they're trying to get through. Let's see, sorry, I'm trying to pull up this article for you. I think what they're trying to do is get through the merger, and through that, they'll have a better understanding of like product development and all that good stuff. But I just think that maybe they weren't 100% ready, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'll definitely do a video on it. Bree, my partner Bree lives in Mount Dora, and she and I were going back through like all of these new town centers that are opening up and how they're redeveloping right outside of downtown, and there's new neighborhoods coming in, and so it's a little bit more affordable as well. But like, man, the lake community there, the downtown area is like super quaint. I love Mount Dora. It is a little bit farther out there, say if you want to live close to the parks or maybe you like work downtown, but not too far. Like something that a lot of people should consider, especially with what's coming on. Just don't drink too much Olga's Cantina. Yeah, that's drinking plus going on Guardians ride, not ideal. Not something that I should do. Ranger the Dog. I like the fact that it's Ranger the Dog asking this question. What's the best neighborhood for dogs? So I think that if you can't find a house that has a lot of land, like you have a half acre of land where you're able to let them out in your yard, right? Then you're looking at a neighborhood like Celebration has multiple dog parks that you can use that are really well maintained. Baldwin Park has them as well. There's a lot of these master plan communities that come with their own dog parks, multiple. And some people, I know Celebration has 2 dog parks, one for small dogs, one for large dogs. And so many of these other smaller neighborhoods have tried to like catch on to that. But if you are a dog lover and you want to, walk, obviously, there's lots of cool neighborhoods for that. So just ask your agent if you're looking to move. Ask one of us. We're happy to help narrow that in. What's going on, David from Stella? David Stella from Oakland, Florida. Sorry I gave away your secrets, man. I didn't mean to give away the secrets about how amazing it is to live in Winter Garden, but here we are. David's also an OG. He's been watching for at least 2 or 3 years, and so that means a ton. All right, so just hopped on. My question is, how will the market be for Kissimmee? I think Kissimmee and St. Cloud continue to do really well, just because that's where a lot of the land is. And so there's been major acquisitions in those spots, talking about hundreds and thousands of acres of land that builders have developed and are developing currently. And so I think Kissimmee continues to do better. The major problem with Kissimmee is the roads. And so if they invest more into widening 192 or some of these other places, I know they have new off ramps kind of helping alleviate some of that coming through. But I think Kissimmee continues to do really well. Yep. Yasmin says Laureate Park 2 has dog parks. Many of them do. That's correct. David says he's appreciative of the video. Yeah. Now you can show your friends. You're like, see, this is where I live, and this is why we chose to live here for sure. Who watched? I'm curious. Just who watched Obi-Wan last night? This is like crazy, crazy good if you are a Star Wars fan. I think the Disney Plus thing that they're doing, I'm a huge fan. I feel like the backstories between all of this is like it's like really, really good. Um, they have like Andor coming out soon. They've got a bunch of other ones coming out. I think Jude Law just signed on for another Star Wars. They're going really deep into that Disney IP. But I'm curious if you're a Star Wars fan, are you loving this? Is it too like Marvel-esque for you? I've heard like really, really good reviews and really, really bad reviews. We're fans. We're just fans to watch it, so it's kind of cool. Wiggy says they did, and it was fantastic. Yeah, did you watch both of them? Like, you kind of have to. Like, you get through the first one, you're like, I don't care how late it is. I'm gonna watch this one. Richard said he just watched the first. Yeah, really good so far. I won't give any spoilers. For sure. Here's a good question from Scott, also a real estate person. So, where are most moving into Florida from? So, buddy, I actually get a lot of people from Utah moving here, a lot. But I would say the majority are moving from the Midwest. So, like Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and then like New York, Jersey, so East Coast, and then the upper West Coast. So, typically some California, but a lot of like Seattle, Oregon, Portland, those people are moving here. So what I find is that many of them had the story of like, we started in California, we moved to Utah. Utah got too kind of busy and overcrowded, so now we're moving to Orlando. And that's an interesting trend that I've seen probably a dozen times over the past year, that buyer profile. Through the pandemic, it was a lot of people moved here from the Carolinas, Virginia, people that wanted like work from home but wanted to take advantage of living close to the parks. But that slowed down because I think a lot of people are getting called back to work and that sort of thing. So it's constantly this new buyer that we're dealing with for different reasons, and I love it. I think that's great. Philip asks, "What do I know of the new Toll Brothers community going in Horizon West, South Horizon West, not the one that's already complete?" So, Philip, this is a very interesting one. So that's Ovation, West Haven at Ovation by Toll Brothers. That's the neighborhood. And that whole strip up and down Hartzog has had some issues. we have buyers that are currently working there. Let me just show you kind of where this is at for those of you that don't know, and I'll keep going. Hartzog Road. There we go. All right, here we go. Boom. And full screen. Boom. All right, so this is like where, let's see, Western Way is this road. You got Magic Kingdom, Epcot right over here. Epcot's there, Magic Kingdom's here. Western Way comes back through, and then you've got kind of like Flamingo Crossing, which is where all the new Disney housing is, and then Horizon West is up to the north, and then down below you've got this road called New Hartzog. Old Hartzog used to come down here, and it passed through a bunch of like trailer homes, and people weren't loving that. They moved the road, actually. They just moved it a half mile up, which is crazy to think somebody moved an entire road just gone up. So anyways, here's the crazy thing about this, Philip, and everybody watching, is that they put this road in, and Toll Brothers, I think, was the main developer behind it, even though there's going to be Taylor Morrison up here. There's going to be Pulte's Oasis, their Del Webb communities right here, and you've got Toll Brothers. So here's the crazy thing about all of these. They've actually had a issue because whoever decided to file the plat map got it wrong. And so they thought they had ownership in like one of the farmers, the old farmers' property that they actually didn't. And so now they have issues getting the roads in, not the roads, they have issues getting the water in down the road. And so you've got all of these homes that can't get water to them because they can't hook up based on the connection over on Avalon. And so a lot of these builders have paused selling for the next few months until they can negotiate with this like farmer and basically buy 20 to 30 feet of his property to run that main line through there. So you're talking about literally tens of millions of dollars in real estate that has been paused because this one guy said, wait, what are you doing on my property? And they didn't know how to pivot. So Toll Brothers is one of them. Taylor Morrison, I think, is the other. Del Webb, there's a lot of them that have paused sales for what I think I was told until like August. And then after that, they'll be ready to go again. Interesting story though, if you think about it, because if you're a builder, whoever their land guy is, not the greatest. Or maybe he is the greatest, but everybody makes mistakes. What's going on, Sassy from Texas? How is the insurance situation going? Sassy, insurance has definitely rose here. I think that most people that I get that call me and like sort of complain about, hey, my insurance was $1,200, now it's $1,700. What happened? We had this very litigious thing around roof fraud and all of these other things to where a lot of insurance companies didn't want to stay in Florida anymore. And so the ones that did jacked up their rates. What I would suggest to you, though, is talk to an insurance broker, not just like your State Farm or your Allstate. Sometimes State Farm is the cheapest, but if you call like your insurance broker and you say, hey, listen, I'm having this issue, my insurance rates just went up, they'll find somebody else that still will cover Florida at a cheaper rate. But overall, rates have gone up something like 15, 20%. It's a big number. There's a lot of good one. Goodness gracious, sorry, I missed a bunch of people came through. Alan asks, Alan is like, I love your insights, my friend. The emails and all that good stuff. You are fantastic. So I would say, have I ever investigated older established neighborhoods beyond downtown Kissimmee, lakefront, and some are gated? Yeah, I mean, Kissimmee is fantastic. The downtown areas are amazing. I think they've got a lot of potential anyways. But there are really good ones, especially like just south of Lake Nona is actually all Kissimmee. And there's some neighborhoods down there with half-acre lots, acre lots, where I think that people are sleeping on. So the prices have not gotten too crazy. And you can be within a stone's throw of Lake Nona, stone's throw of like Sunbridge and everything coming in there, only 15 minutes away from the airport, still be in Kissimmee, Osceola, get the tax break, and get some land, which I think that's cool. But yeah, a lot of Kissimmee is quite either rural, dated, or then now the new construction stuff that's coming in. Celia says, imagine buying a house because you could work from anywhere and your employer being like, nah, just come back to Wisconsin. Oh, brutal. We had some of those happen for sure. It was interesting because mortgage companies were requiring buyers to come in and say, hey, if you're here and you're going to be working from home in Florida, we need a letter from your employer that says that you're able to work from home forever. And that was powerful because it forced the HR companies or HR directors to write these letters and give these to their buyers or to their employees. And they actually had something instead of just like a verbal, like, hey, yeah, you guys go work from home. When the pandemic's over, we'll probably call back people, but maybe not. It kind of came from this sort of like loosey-goosey kind of thing to something that they had physical thing to hang on to. But then now what we're seeing is some of those people, not all, but some of those people have said like, hey, listen, if I want to get a promotion or I want to really like move up in my company, they want me back in the office. So I need to sell and move back. But many people are like, the gig economy, I'm straight. I'm never moving. I love Orlando. It's the best thing ever. So wild. Annette, what's going on? Craig and I in Orlando meeting Tuesday, meeting Lindsay from your team tomorrow. Awesome. I love Lindsay. She's like the most like, she's got this amazing energy. She's super smart. You're going to love working with her. How will the market be for Winter Garden? So Jefferson, I think the Winter Garden market is still really, really strong. I live in Winter Garden, but the reason I think that it's going to stay strong is because so much of it is finally built out. You still have some of the Hartzog and Avalon areas that need to get built out. You probably have a couple thousand more homes, but for the most part, it's built out. You look at what happened to Windermere after all of the homes that were finished being built were done, and the prices there just continued to go up because people wanted the schools, they wanted the location, they wanted the neighborhoods, but there were no new construction. And so all the resale did really, really well. I assume that that's what's going to happen to Winter Garden, especially once all the rest of the homes get built out in Horizon West and it's actually like finished. But yeah, I think I'm very bullish on it, especially with like they're expanding Avalon Road, they're expanding Seidel, they're expanding all of these other roads. and then adding infrastructure behind it with like new commercial, it's going to be more and more of a desirable place to live. Yeah. Hey Juan, so the question of, have interest rates risen over the past 6 months? In a Popka is like in a Popka is like irrelevant essentially because interest rates are interest rates. It just really depends on the loan product, but yeah, interest rates have definitely gone up, probably from low threes to low fives in the past 6 months. Elizabeth says, what's the shift? The shift is essentially that we had before 10, 15, 20 buyers for every one home. And now we have like 2 or 3 buyers in the market for every one home. There's the exact amount of new listings coming on as the amount of going off, meaning that we're in a balanced market. So a shift would be anytime there's a massive change in the market. We have builders that didn't care to talk to realtors and had VIP lists that were hundreds of buyers long. Now they're reaching out to us left and right, like kind of the good old days, via email, text, and they're getting a little bit more aggressive trying to find buyers to lock in. Here's an interesting one. There's many builders that if you're nervous about getting into new construction, this is new info for you guys. Many of them that they know that a lot of people are nervous about interest rates rising. Although I think that by the end of this year, rates will probably be back under 5 again. But that's just my guess based on conversations I'm having with high-level mortgage people. That being said, many builders are giving this like rate lock for 6 months or 8 months. They're willing to pay to lock you into an interest rate today, just so that you wait around for your house to get built and give you a little bit more certainty. Because what we have had is some people that locked in a year ago at 3.5% when they first bought their new construction house or getting ready to close, and interest rates are 5. So your average monthly mortgage payment goes up for sure. But they're looking at it like, okay, so I waited a year to get my house built. I've got an extra $100,000 in equity at closing. I'm going to close. Is the extra 1.5 points higher than I expected? Of course. So if you're looking to get new construction, that's an option many builders are offering. Is sort of like the lock in the interest rates. Vasil asks, what are my thoughts on Airbnb in Kissimmee? I think so not all of Orlando allows full scale Airbnb where you can rent out the whole house. The city of Orlando requires that you live in like 2/3 of your house and you can Airbnb out 1/3. So like a bedroom or an over the garage apartment. But Kissimmee is very Airbnb friendly. And so they have a lot of big neighborhoods. Reunion is in Kissimmee. Right below Kissimmee or to the west is Davenport. Davenport has a ton of Airbnbs. So those 2 neighborhoods or 2 cities are going to be where you want to check out. Caesar says rates could go as high as 6% soon. Maybe this summer. We'll see. It was an unexpected kind of thing to see the rates drop over the past week. It actually was the biggest drop since 2020 that we saw this week, percentage wise, it was unexpected for many people. We kind of all expected it was just going to continue to rise up to about 6 and probably float back down to high 4s. Hey, howdy, hey. I love it. Makes me smile every time. Having a second home in Florida, should I get a driver's license? Heard they're tough to get. If you're going to live here more than 6 months a year, you should get a Florida driver's license. And if you want to take advantage of the taxes and homesteading your property, which allows you to get a lower tax bill on your property, then you should get a Florida driver's license. Are they hard to get? I don't think they're hard to get. We just walked in and took a little handwritten test. Easy peasy. Yeah, the Redfin CEO says mortgage rates are going to 6% within the next 6 months. Yeah, Glenn gets some things right for sure. He gets a lot of things incorrect as well. I think we're all guessing at this point. Here's the thing: the Fed said that they're going to come out and raise interest rates 2 more times over the next June and July when they meet. And so, if that's the case, if that actually does happen, then yeah, interest rates will probably be 6%. Now, inflation numbers came out this week, and inflation dropped from what it sounds like to roughly 5%, down from 8. And so if they keep seeing that trend and it drops down to like 3, they're not going to raise interest rates. And so that's the game that they play. And so yeah, we shall see. Buck, dude, I appreciate you, man. You just 277 people watching live. I guess that's all platforms, but yeah, definitely give us a thumbs up. That would mean a ton from if you guys would give us a thumbs up if you have not, and drop any questions you have below. I have a couple more things to share, that's for sure, but I thought I would answer your questions first. Let's see. Mount Dora, going through all of my slides for today. You ever get ready for like a presentation and then you're getting ready and then your Chrome crashes? That's probably the worst ever. I had that happen today, right as soon as we were going live. All right, let's see. People buying bonds. Let's see. He says, moving from Orlando to Chicago, should I really be afraid of I-4? If if you're going to be on it every day, I would be. I think that they have the new I-4 Ultimate, which goes right up and down the middle of I-4, and you can pick that up around Sand Lake and go all the way up through like Lake Mary, Maitland, all that kind of stuff north. And depending on the time of day, it's going to be 50 cents all the way up to $3. And there's no traffic. It's kind of that lane. It's a normal kind of toll road in the middle of I-4. Now, if you live in I used to live in Celebration, but like my office was in Dr. Phillips, and that morning commute and afternoon commute were the worst. It was 45 minutes every day, each way. And so if you can get around it, you should plan accordingly. But just like if you just live here and you have to pop on, pop off, it's not that big of a deal. We all get over it. What's going on, JP? From we were going to build new semi near Orlando, 450. Who would you build with in room? So, all right, JP, I would think that it depends on schools, if those are important to you or not, because there's some areas that are really, really good that don't have great schools yet, because like Sunbridge, for example, in St. Cloud, you can get something in the 400s, sub 5s for sure, but there's no like the actual school in the neighborhood yet. You have to go all the way down to Harmony until the new schools are getting built. So there's some areas like that. Mineola, I think, is great. Groveland, I think, is great. There's a lot of other areas that are kind of like up and coming. Claremont is great. Probably not going to get a big house in Claremont for 450 anymore. It's going to be more like a townhouse. But that's where you got to start. Our school is important. If they're important, then I can help give you some information beyond that. But always have backup paper notes for sure. I've got all my notes down here, but the links so that I can show you guys, that's the hard part. I need to like download them or make sure that I can do it. I don't know. I got to figure that out. Now, Joyful, you've got my mind thinking what I need to do. I-4 Ultimate being extended to 429. Yeah, correct. Eventually they will be. So I-4 Ultimate right now, so eventually it would go all the way down through, from what I understand, through Davenport, which is massively needed. They've got a new extension going in Darrell Carter Parkway. They've got another going off of 535. So there's a lot more. There's going to alleviate a lot more traffic along the way. And then after that, they're going to add the I-4 Ultimate. I think once that gets done, that's a good thing. I added it up the other day. There's something like $600 million in road projects within our 5-county area. I-4 being one of them. 417 is getting widened. 429 is getting widened. A lot of off-road, Sand Lake's getting widened. So I think that's a good thing. Here's an interesting one. So speaking of Winter Garden. So Winter Garden approves pause on new downtown alcohol service permits for future restaurants. If you haven't gone to the city downtown, if you haven't gone downtown Winter Garden lately, they have the new Hangry Bison. In the Exchange building, there's a new Foxtail and Kelly's Ice Cream, but there's like a new hotel going in. There's like a lot of new stuff coming into downtown Winter Garden, which I think is really impressive, like that Plant Street area. But they're trying to make sure that it's not like, I don't know if you've ever been to like 6th Street in Austin. Like they don't want it to be Bar Row. And I think it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like 6 and 1/2 dozen the other. Like Park Ave in Winter Garden, or Winter Park rather. I don't know, they've got a dozen bars and restaurants easily, probably a couple dozen restaurants that also serve alcohol. But Winter Garden's trying to really like pull back and say like we don't want to be like drunk row. We want to have new small businesses come in. Do you guys go to downtown Winter Garden at all? I'm just kind of curious how many of you guys have been there. Is that Foxtail Coffee today? That place, this is actually Starbucks today because I didn't have time to drive over to Foxtail, unfortunately. But our new office is right above a Foxtail, and I have to believe that I'm going to be there often, whether they sponsor me or not. This is a good question, Gregory, or comment. Land prices are still too high. Land should not cost more than 20% of new homes plus the lot. So I used to be an appraiser. That's what I started off doing. And banks, and when they teach you, it's typically 30% of the lot, of the actual price of the home is what the land value should be on the high side, a third, right? And so we automatically would go in and assume if the house burned down, what would the lot be worth? And we wanted that number to be roughly 30% of the overall price of the home. That being said, like I look at some of these places in like Windermere, like these teardowns on the Butler chain are like $2 million for a teardown, and they're building a $4 million house in its place. You're talking about 50% of the land versus the price, right? So there's some like extenuating circumstances, but I think that supply chain and all that other kind of stuff, they're bolstering these numbers. You're probably right. It needs to be more like 20 to 30%. But are those land values going to come down? Not in these popular areas. I don't think so. Will builders be able to offer incentives to offset some of this stuff? For sure. They were taking advantage, in my opinion, of the crazy market, raising prices significantly faster than the supply chain actually demanded. And so now we're going to see how much actual flex there is should the market continue down kind of on this path. Jefferson says, is it worth to buy a more complete old house in Winter Garden than a small new house in Winter Garden by the same price? It's really your call, man. I mean, this is a call that I get often is like, hey, I want the schools, I want the walkability, I want the area, but my budget says that I need either a small, nice house or a bigger, outdated house. Which one should I do? And so if you're looking at it from a long-term perspective of like, hey, I'm going to remodel this house over time, wherever it is, whether that's Winter Garden or anywhere in the world, I think you go with the bigger house that needs to have the remodel because you have more upside opportunity there. Unless you're just not handy and you're like, hey, I don't care if I get a smaller house, I want it to be really, really nice, then go with that, right? But I mean, you got to remember everything in your house is going to get outdated eventually anyways. And so your time horizon matters a lot. But I think that if you're looking at what I want an investment that 10 years, 15, 20 years from now is going to be worth a lot more, then you go with a bigger house that you need to remodel. And that's what I would go after. Range of the dog, you pooped on the floor. Oh my gosh, man, I'm sorry to hear that. It's interesting, like downtown Winter Garden, downtown Winter Park, and a lot of these downtown areas. Avalon Park has it very similarly. Outside of a lot of the places, they'll have like dog bowls set up. I think that's cool. So many of our places are very dog friendly, very pet friendly, which I think is cool. David says, I think local Winter Garden residents are hypersensitive about the growth, but in my opinion, they're overreacting. Unfortunately, I think they'll win the battle in the end. Yeah, I think so too. Winter Park is the same way though. Winter Park, I went to so many different on-site events with like the mayor and the city council where they had to vote on new developments, and they're very, very careful not to like over improve. They also don't want to lose the charm. They some of them have very, very, well-founded concerns, and other ones are just kind of like more emotional that don't really make a ton of sense. I hope Winter Garden is able to find that medium because there's so much opportunity there, so much land still left. And like, I think there's still not a parking issue or any of that kind of stuff. Whereas like downtown Mount Dora sometimes has a parking issue. Like if you go there midday on a Saturday, it's hard to find a parking spot. Sometimes you're parking really far away to walk to the downtown area. But like Winter Garden hasn't seen that problem yet. So anyways, how's the market in Lake Nona? Does it have lots of buyers per house, or is it still following this new market trend? So Lake Nona is finally, like Laureate Park 2 is finally open, which is cool. So like Craft Homes, Dream Finders, all these places are starting to build out. You have other builders in the like Kissimmee area and St. Cloud, that whole area, that whole bowl around Lake Nona, are starting to release more and more lots. And so, that being said, resale homes are still really, really low. Like I was looking in Laureate Park, I just listed a house there. There were like 4 homes for sale in the entire neighborhood, which is not a lot of houses at all. And so, so the resale market hasn't really caught up in Lake Nona to really anything. It's still white hot. So yeah. All right. So, any idea on occupancy rates for Airbnb currently or at its peak? So, occupancy rates right now are the highest that they've ever been. So, our Airbnb clients that are purchasing, they were looking at, we'll say, a baseline of $300 a night for some of the bigger homes, and they're able to get a little bit more than that. Where they used to run their numbers off of 60, 70% occupancy. Now they're more like 85, 89%. You always have cleaning days and maintenance days, and you're never going to get 100% occupancy. But yeah, we're seeing a very high amount of those people, and people investing in Airbnbs from like, it's kind of in vogue as well. Like a lot of investors are pushing towards this whole idea. And if you've ever watched one of my videos around Airbnbs, I don't think that they're the best investment, unless you're self-managing. If you're self-managing, you can make a ton of money doing short-term rentals, but most people don't have the time to run a one-door hotel somewhere else in the country. So they have to hire a property management company, which takes 30% many times. But I guess the short answer is that, yeah, rates are up. Nightly rentals are up. Think about like Disney. Like I think I showed this the other day. The Disney hotels that are crazy booked right now. Let me see this. This is actually a good one. I love benchmarking these, especially live on video, because I can go back and watch them later on. Let's see, Disney hotel pricing on like All-Star Resort. Let's see. Oh, that all of them are open. Let's see. Has anybody stayed at a Disney resort lately? I'm trying to think of the last time that we did, but like Disney World rates at All Star. Here we go. Show you guys what we're looking at. Disney was a phase reopening, standard ability. Here we go. Check ability. Let's just see if we wanted to come in. Let's do not Memorial Day weekend, because obviously that's going to be crazy. Let's just go in like June. And if you're checking out, no thanks. Find a room. Let's see. So, you remember pre-pandemic, a night at the All-Star Sports was like $125. No thanks. This room type is unavailable. Yeah. So, anyways, like everywhere, whether that's Airbnb or at a Disney hotel, like demand is way, way up. People are traveling like they never have before, especially after the past 2 years. I keep asking my travel agent friends. I've got friends that own big firms, and I'm like, hey, how are your calls going? Calls are through the roof for people to travel. You've got a lot of people that had cancellations in 2020 and 2021 because of the pandemic, and they're rescheduling for 2022. And so, yeah, wild. Stony Brook, are you talking about in Winter Garden or in Waterford Lakes? Let me know. That's an amazing question. Do I have any data on cash buyers versus finance? Or cash buyers steady going up or down? A house in my neighborhood sold for $735 cash in Winter Garden, so I'm curious. So yeah, predominantly we're looking at like in the more popular areas, like a Winter Garden, Lake Nona, the more popular areas. Cash purchases represent about 10% of the sales. Now, in other areas that are more like second home focused, like a Celebration or a Reunion, some of these other places, it's more like 30% all cash. And so, historically, 10 to 15% has always been kind of our number, and that's really held true. I think that as the stock market really tanked, a lot of people were pulling cash out of the stock market 6 months ago and putting it in real estate. They're like, this isn't going to last forever. And so we've had fewer and fewer of those calls as the stock market has dipped. We had a good rally past couple days on the stock market, so we'll see if things change. But roughly 10% across the board. Some of these other areas as high as 30%. Just depends on where you're looking. Are you serious? The Riviera is approaching $1,000 a night. That's amazing. I remember, I mean, the Grand Floridian. I remember you could get Grand Floridian main building concierge level for like 750, 800 a night. Those days are long gone. Ooh, I like this question quite a bit, Kelly. So, looking for small business friendly communities. So, I guess I would love some clarification around that in regards to like, do you currently own a small business or like, do you want walkable? Like, I know Baldwin Park, for example, they had, and Avalon Park as well, had it to where they had some businesses down below, but then you could live up top, which I thought was really cool. So, like, if you're like a chiropractor or a graphics design person and you wanted to live down below, but then live above and then work down below, they have those options, which I think is super cool. But if you're just talking about like, I guess I'd love some clarity on your question. Stony Brook West is what he asked about. So Stony Brook West is in Winter Garden. It's a golf community. Well, it was golf community. The golf course itself has been shuttered, and then the HOA was trying to buy it back, revamp it, and open it up again. I would say that I'd be nervous to pay a ton of money for golf course frontage unless you understand that it may never become a golf course again. Like it could just be open property. What happened was the old golf course owner tried to turn that neighborhood into take the golf course away and build houses on the fairways essentially. And so the city shot them down or the county shot them down, and then they let the golf course shutter. And so it was interesting because you had these people that paid massive premiums to back up to a golf course that all of a sudden had 2 feet tall grass. And so from what I understand, the HOA is trying to buy it back or has bought it back and has plans to reopen it. And if that's the case, I think that's great. That being said, it's a great neighborhood, great location next to Winter Garden Village. That's all good stuff. Golf course is coming back. Yeah, that's what I thought. Mhm. Yeah, I think so. Absolute Slitter. What's up? Welcome to the channel for the first time. I don't remember seeing your name before, but is it still possible to buy a house without ending up in the outskirts of Ocala for for less than $500,000? Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, like I was just showing houses in downtown Orlando in like Delaney Park yesterday, and well, we were showing some houses over $1 million, but I was looking at a bunch of houses around there for in the 400s. You're talking about like a bungalow though, like a 3 bedroom, 1.5 bath that might need a little bit of work. So downtown areas for sure. If you're down with like a townhome, there's plenty of places that you can still get into in the 3s and 4s. But if you're looking for that like standard, which I get the call every day, like I'm looking for 2,500 square feet, three bedrooms, 2.5 baths, newer construction. The days of those getting those under $500,000 have been tougher in the more popular areas anyways. Oh, gross. So you're moving to Orlando soon. That's not gross. That's awesome. Congrats. But why is tile so popular over carpeting? Oh, not like tile over carpet. That's what I was thinking. So it's humid here, and like the cooler the better. So tile's easy to maintain. It, lasts really, really long time. It also stays really, really cool. We don't see a lot of like wood, like true wood floors, like old wood plank floors, because if say your AC goes out, the humidity is going to mess with it and it'll buckle the floor. So it's not really an environmental issue at all. It's just really preference, how to keep your house cool when it's 100 degrees outside. Flash Jordan, I would say if you're looking to add a second story bungalow, second story over your bungalow, totally doable. The city should more than let you do that. I would just hire an architect first to figure out what you have. I've got some really great architects actually. If you want to email me, ken@pozekgroup.com, I will send you back a referral for an architect. I would start there. They'll have some contractors that you can work with and just kind of figure out budgetarily if it's something that you want to do. And as long as the end value is going to be same or more than what that cost will be to get it done, which I think it would be most likely, unless you go crazy. I think you're going to see a lot more people do that. Actually, start just going up. I think there's going to be a lot more people, especially that have like 2 and 3% interest rates, that need to move because they need more value. They need more space. Their family grew, whatever, that are going to say, forget it. I'm going to stay put and just go up, go back, go whatever, make the house bigger. And so that's another reason why I think a really great contractor that specializes in that, that treats people really well, could do very well, because I think that people are going to like say, hey, I want to hang on to that low interest rate. I'm not moving ever. I'm just going to spend some money. You could get a home equity line of credit to pay for it. Done. So anyways, shoot me an email. Kelly said, I think I missed. I think I missed it. Yeah, Kelly, here we go. Some advice for, a hair and nail salon. Yeah, I think so. So super good. I think that those places are amazing. I think that I would go in an emerging area that doesn't have one yet, like right on the outskirts of something. Because if you go to like a Lake Nona or a Windermere or some of these like areas that have a lot of demand, you're probably going to pay a bit of a premium on commercial. Here's one thing, guys, is commercial is typically a year or two behind residential. So we're probably going to see a run up on commercial still for the next 2 years at least, because their development process is just a lot slower than ours. We've been looking for space for our company for the past 6 months, and the amount of retail spaces coming on the market is like none. It's really hard to find commercial space. So if you don't want to overspend, where you're putting your nail salon, your hair and nail salon, go to like places that are emerging that need to bring in people like yourselves. So that way your business does really well, because demand from the local homeowners will be there, but then also you're not going to get gouged on price per square foot, and maybe you'll have some more favorable terms with your landlord. That's what I would do if I were you. Where those places are, you go to the emerging spots, like again, like a Claremont, I think is like emerging needs places like what you're offering. Yeah, that's what I would do. So Eric says there's 300. Okay, here we go. I'm just really, really quick. I want to kind of commemorate a little something. We hit 300 people watching live, and we're not wrapping up yet. I still have another 15, maybe 5-10 minutes anyways, to answer more questions. But I just want to thank you guys. If you're still watching, or you've watched from the beginning of our channel, or you watch where we're going right now, it means the absolute world to me that you guys would hang out with me on a Saturday to talk what I'm passionate about, which is Orlando stuff. So love it. We're actually going to be adding, probably by the end of summer, we're going to be doing 3 videos a week. We're going to be bringing in a couple more people to do it with me. I'll be sort of on the channel all the time still, but talking about like one on real estate, one on theme parks, one on real estate or life in Orlando, and kind of blending all 3 together to give you guys as much data as possible on a really consistent basis. So I'm really excited to see kind of where we go. But from the bottom of my heart, it means a ton that you guys will hang out and just chat. So it means a lot. All right, back to this real quick. Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. If you haven't followed me over on Instagram as well, by the way, at Ken Pozek, I put out like insights, I do polls, I give links like all the time around stuff that we see. Also the Orlando Reel, which is like the media company that we co-run, just talks about like the little shops that are around Orlando that you probably wouldn't know unless somebody's exposing you to us. So, or you to them. So check us out. All right, what are some of the towers coming in downtown? There's a lot of like apartment building towers. Here's an interesting one. The town of Celebration, the downtown area, is owned by a company called Lexin. And Lexin is getting ready to do a new, let's show you real quick. They're doing a new tower, which is funny because Lexin is not very liked. Lexin, downtown Orlando. But they're doing quite a large new development there. I'll show you. New York-based Lexin Capital plans mixed-use tower in downtown Orlando. So renderings for the proposed, it's more like modern vibes. The project size could cost $21 million to build. So there's new towers coming in left and right. Actually, it's really cool. I think that downtown business district. Here's an interesting thing to solve if you're a developer watching this, or you're just like enjoy this stuff like I do. downtown Orlando, the business district, it's a ghost town after 5 o'clock and on the weekends. Unless you're going to an Amway, like a Magic game or a concert, there's really nobody hanging out there. So if somebody can solve the live, work, play of the central business area and right outside of that, they're going to win really, really big. I don't know what it is, but it's just kind of like it's not a 24/7 downtown. Now the neighborhoods around it, Thornton Park, Delaney Park, you got like Ivanhoe Village and like the market that they've got going on over there. Those are definitely a 24/7 vibe. But like that downtown area, those towers and stuff, people just, it's a ghost town on the weekends. It's wild. This is my ritual, like reading the Sunday paper. Man, I appreciate that. That's super cool. Um, Joyful, you said this is your first live. Thank you so much. I appreciate that big time. Let's see. You're going to move to Orlando in 2 to 4 years. I appreciate that. That's super cool. We'd love to help when the time comes. Give you some insights. You can see your out. Shut up. That's amazing. And that, take a picture from your thing. Shoot me a message. That would be super cool. All right. So I think that is about it for today. We went over a little bit of an hour, but I just wanted to hang out with you guys as much as I could. I missed you for sure. So we'll be back in 2 weeks again to do this. And so make sure you set your calendars or check out for the live, set the reminder when it pops through. But again, this is sponsored by the Orlando Real, which is our media company, but I'm also a real estate agent. So if you're looking to buy or sell a house anywhere in Central Florida, I'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. Just shoot me an email, info@pozekgroup.com, and we'll kind of get the party started. But other than that, have an amazing weekend. Great Memorial Day. If you've served or you lost somebody from our family to yours, we're thinking about you this weekend, and I hope you have an amazing time just of downtime and reflection. We'll talk soon. Bye.